So it's 2022, and where has the time gone? The last edition of the Ocean Race, the Volvo Ocean Race, finished in 2018. That's 4 years ago. 4 years that's contained a change of ownership, a change of strategy, COVID, the introduction of a new class, the Ocean Race Europe, and an epic new race route. I want to find out what's been going on, and I'm sure many of you are going to be interested to see anything behind the scenes. So I can't do that from my studio here in the UK. I've got to go to Spain, and I've got to go to race headquarters in Alicante. Now, I've managed to convince the team there to give me full access to HQ and anybody that I want to talk to. So I've got my plane ticket ready, and it's an early flight in the morning. So an early morning flight, lots of COVID tests and masks on airlines, but I'm here now in Alicante, and the last time I was here it was a hub of activity. We were having the Ocean Race Europe. Before that, in the 17-18 edition, loads of people, loads of boats. But if you come down now to Alicante, the home of the Ocean Race, this is what you're going to find. This is one of the VO65s out of the water. On the other side of the port is another 65, Axonobel. And then down there on the right is race headquarters. That's why I'm here. There's a chance for me maybe to get some answers. Yeah, I see my writing still on the whiteboard. So we're in race headquarters, and this is pretty familiar to me. This is where we were spending all of our time during the Ocean Race Europe during the summer, and we were just tearing apart all the details from all the action going on in the water on these screens. But of course they're off now. And so what I'm hoping to do now, and the reason why I'm here in headquarters, is I want to talk to people, and I want to ask them, and I want to find out what's going on with the route. Why have they decided to change it in the way that they have? What's going on with the delay? You know, are they confident there's not going to be another one? How are the teams looking? How are they feeling about the upcoming race? And what's it going to look like? So I think the best way to do that is we're going to basically go through the office. We're going to try and find a few people. I think there's a lunch event today, and I'm going to essentially just stick a camera in their face.
Niall,
Good to see you.
see you.
Yeah, how you been?
Fellow partner in crime, yeah, good.
From my point of view, you were the competitor that's turned, you know, media promo, presenter, and now you're kind of pulling the strings. Is that a fair way to say it? But where are we? I mean, this all looks great. This all looks lovely. But how do you feel at the moment in terms of the race?
Oh, I mean, we've ended up in a pretty epic place. I mean, in terms of the actual race course, but it hasn't been a very natural process to get there. You know, obviously COVID has been absolutely brutal. We announced a race course just before COVID hit, and so we've come up with this new race course which is all COVID related. We're trying to simplify, strip it down, so that we can manage the risk and make it happen, a bit like we did the Ocean Race Europe. Getting the boat race back to its roots, is having this other epic Southern Ocean leg. I think that is going to hopefully be a big part of evolving the race to what it's going to be for the future. It's going to be a pretty awesome challenge.
And what about teams then? Because I understand it wasn't the route that you would have picked for all sorts of factors, but it's worked out into something that is going to be legendary. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
What about the people that have actually got to go around it? Where are you on that? How confident are you feeling?
Well, it's I mean, difficult. There's no question about saying that. You know, obviously the commercial market and sports marketing has completely changed as a result of COVID. But I think we've kind of proved a point with the Europe race was we can put an event on and we can guarantee that it'll happen, which is really important to potential partnerships out there. So So we do have that unique story, especially as sustainability is getting up the agenda. We've worked hard to make sure that the Mocha fleet can be available to do our race. We've got Leva and Thara and Malizia who've said they're definitely going to do it with new boats coming. And we know that with this change of the dates, we've really re-engaged with another 4 or 5 top French teams that they realise they've got to be in to win. So, and then on the 65 front, all 8 boats are owned, all 8 boats are actively looking for funding. It's a really unpredictable market out there, but I think we're good for it, and people are screaming for really tangible sports content, and we've got it.
One thing, you mentioned the sustainability, but surely it's got to be quite a lot of extra work on top of everything else as well.
Oh, it is. I mean, there's been a big push to evolve who we are, and what we stand for, and sort of move it out of the Volvo model, which was a very good model for the race and for Volvo when they led the partnership. But now, we've got to stand on our own 2 feet, and we've got to fit into a new and modern world where consumers have completely changed their appetite. So, yes, there's a lot of work going on, and we're fortunate to have an extremely innovative sustainability department. But I think what we've got is we're authentic. We are the real witnesses that go out there and see these things, and we love the sea. All of us do. It's in our blood.
So everyone's still upstairs at the moment for the lunch, and I asked very nicely, and somebody's given me their security card because I want to go and have a look in race control because it's been quite a long time since I've been in here, and this is somewhere that I spent an awful lot of time in the last edition because this is where we were doing our show. This is where we were monitoring all the boats and everything, and yeah, I mean a lot of screens are off, but it's interesting to see what's been sort of left out, if you like. I mean, obviously, the guys were telling me they do a lot of tours in here at the moment. If you come around to the race, you want to have a look, which is why they've got some of these satellite communication dishes out. And this little one over here, this has been here for a good while. This is one of the media stations. So a lot of the times when you see some of the OBRs and they send us all their stuff and they're recording from onboard cameras, this is basically the system that they've got to use. Pretty simple, pretty robust, but at the same time, probably a little bit heavier than the skipper would like. And this view here, this was I'm very used to this view. This is where we stood. I used to stand right here on the back here and I'd have a camera pointing into my face. Well, what an incredible morning it's been in the Volvo Ocean Race. So if you guys are the viewer, you get the view behind, which is a pretty cool view. You get the office, you get the lights and everything, which is quite nice. What I would get is I would get everybody that comes around to the museum and looking into race control, pulling faces, trying to distract me, and yeah, it's a little bit annoying when you're trying to look into the... No, Phil, come on in. I see you lounging there. How are you, sir?
I'm very well.
Well, fist bump. I was talking to Mason, and he was talking about the Southern Ocean leg, and he was talking about it in a really positive way and being very kind of like, this is going to be really good fun. I'm imagining you're the person who had to sweat quite a lot, fitting all that together. What's your view on it? Have you ended up somewhere where you're like, this is really good? Or are you...
It's like putting together a giant jigsaw puzzle with a couple of missing pieces, but we've made that work. And the Southern Ocean leg will be just fantastic. The crew's got to find the balance between going fast and breaking their boat.
Yes.
So, and from our point of view, here in the control room, it'll be manned for a month, 24/7.
And what keeps you up at night? The Southern Ocean or the Europe coastal fishing nets, traffic kind of nightmare as well? Or should I just not mention any of it?
Everything. Because, there is an incident every day when the boats are at sea. It might be a very minor incident, it could be an injury, it could be a breakage, it could be anything. As I always say to the guys before the race, all the stories are out there, we just don't know what they are yet.
I was walking past one of the rooms a minute ago, and I think there's, the original old drones that the OBRs were flying. No one would mind if I put one of those up in the air around the office, right?
Sure, it'd be fine.
Whee! Got a little kick there, a little kick. Oh God! obviously the OBRs make it look very easy. Yes. Yeah. I mean, they really do. And these are the same drone,
This is
right?
the exact model that we had on board the boats. Yeah.
Like this has gone around the world, as it were.
This has gone around the world. Yeah. Got a bit salty, but as you can see, it still flies.
How fast can it go? Because we saw it. You know, we saw them kind of keep up with Brunel and stuff like that. How quickly can it travel?
Yeah, so these drones fly about 70 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
So they go quite fast, but obviously you have to take into account things like wind, the boat speed itself. So keeping up with the boats is doable, but depending on the type of environment and conditions they actually fly in, it can be quite a struggle to keep up and actually land it back on the boat.
Well, I think that's the big thing, isn't it? Because, well, you've got to get it back on board to get the SD card out, haven't you?
Exactly.
Okay, hang on.
Exactly.
Oh, turn it round.
All right, here we go.
Turn it round.
I think it's time we put her down. And,
This was the one thing I remember the OBR saying, if you want to try and bring it into the back of a boat, have it facing away from
Exactly.
you. And then backwards is
Very
backwards
good.
and forwards is forwards.
Exactly.
Right, show me your other toys.
All right, so we'll go into the technology lab. So a lot of the systems that we are developing sort of inside this room, and that's why you can see we've got a lot of tools, toys, and a lot of outstanding projects that we are working on all at the same time.
What's going on here?
Right.
Why have we got what are you?
So what
are you mounting?
Yeah. So what we're doing here is we're testing the different types of cameras that might potentially go on the boats for the next edition. Last race we've all seen the images, right, on the VO65s. This time with the two fleets, the VO65s and the IMOCAs. We are working sort of inside a couple more constraints that we usually didn't have, which is usually size, weight, and power consumption. Right, every single sort of milliamp you can save, as you know, will be a benefit for the teams.
I mean, this is a good Christmas tree, perhaps, but
yes.
Is it a kind of a, you know, seeing how much power is being drained?
Yeah, so exactly. So the system we are building is a complete system, so we can basically put the package on board each of the boats.
Yeah.
And that system is responsible for the telemetry of the boats that we're all familiar with in the public tracker.
Yeah.
As well as...
If I touch this, am I going to get zapped?
You might.
Okay,
So might be a hands-off ordeal here. But and then the other side is the multimedia side where we need the cameras.
Like, this is my one question. Is all that?
How many connectors do you need?
Strictly necessary?
It actually is, yes.
Really?
Yeah, it is. Like we do like our cables and connectors, but obviously it is all for a good purpose, right? It is anything from the camera connections all the way to the satellite connections that we hook up through there. We have different kinds of connectivities, whether that's mobile connectivity when we're close to the coast, the satellite, as I just mentioned, with our partner Inmarsat. So there's really a lot of different connections that go into the boat. Think of our science equipment. It's not based in this box, and what we're looking at is...
But this is the link.
This is the link that ties it all together and that sends it over to Alicante here in Spain. This particular thing is a prototype, so this has actually been on the boat and gone out. We've taken and stripped out a lot of components already, as you can see, but the next one is in development, and we keep on developing until we really find the form factor and the functionality that we want.
And what are you getting to? Like, as in something small?
So we've basically gone from the more classic, it's all hardware designed, and if you want to say swap out or create a new feature, right? You would have to swap out components to do that.
Right.
What we're doing now is sort of almost like, think of it as like a car, right? You buy it, but then you might get some over-the-air updates that add functionality to your car, right?
Yeah,
this
very
is
software-driven.
Very software-driven.
Yeah.
We've seen the footage of the IMOCAs, right?
Yeah.
It is very, very tough sailing conditions.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's really important. How can we help the onboard reporter as much as possible to make their lives easier, right? Onboard the boat, it's harsh conditions. You can't use all of the equipment you normally use. So we're looking really at a wide spectrum of equipment, iPhones, iPads, but also the classic Sony cameras, Canon cameras, GoPros, etc. And then we're trying to see what can we do from a technology perspective to make their lives easy.
It's always so much fun being able to talk to those people who are passionate about the race, as well as being able to play on some of the cool toys that have managed to survive a full lap of the planet. That's not the end of this report. This is just part one. If you like what you've seen so far, you can like and subscribe to any of our social media channels. Coming up in part two, we get a more in-depth look at the office as well as the Ocean Race Library. We try and work out whatever sustainability is going to mean for the next edition, as well as getting some big answers from Richard Brecius.